Hey everyone, Arc Trading here. Welcome back to the channel. Just kind of going to go over the trades that we took live on stream over in Odyssey Capital this week. Going to go over those and also trades that we didn't take, and just to show you some more trade ideas that was out there. Okay, so going to start off with Monday, June 10th. There was winter long going into the morning at around like 9:55 Eastern time. This is unfortunate because Apex was actually having those limit order issues. So the intention to execute on my end was there, but it didn't allow me to place an order. So I just didn't trade for the rest of the day because of that, just to avoid any issues. And especially when you miss out on a winner, you don't want to push it when there's clear issues going on. But going to go over the trade. So we do have, just go on the 72 minute here, because we do utilize the 1 minute, 12 minute, 72, and 72 minute typically we use just to create a general bias for how that morning's going to go. So 72 minute, we did have this hidden S&D right here, which tapped 50% of that. On top of that, we had a CSS flip on the 72 minute right here. So this was actually pushing into that 72 minute CSS flip, which of course, if no one knows, CSS stands for candlestick structure, and that is the flip on the candlestick structure. So we're in that 72 minute wick test plus CSS, so you kind of go delete that out just to clear up the chart a little bit. With the 12 minute right here, we also had a 12 minute CSS flip right here. You see how you have this combination of the down close candle with that low closes back above. That is a candlestick structure flip right there on the 12 minutes. So in the 72 minute CSS, in the 12 minute CSS, we did have this 1 minute fail to close. So we induced this low right here, failed to close, had a 1 minute CSS push above it, closed above it, which confirmed that 1 minute CSS flip. Came down, limit order would have been set at 18,994.75. Going for 10 for 10 on this. So as soon as you got in, pushed up straight for 10 points, which that was a winner on the stream. Like I said, I couldn't get it on this because it just didn't let me put a limit order. And then just to go to the second one up here, which was really nice, I would have taken this as well. We were actually pushing into a 12 minute fractal, as you can see over here. So we're in a 12 minute fractal, 1 minute fail to close, 1 minute CSS flip, closes above it, tags you in, another 10 points right there. So that's already 20 points off the bat before 11:30. And typically how our day goes is 11:30 is the max we'll push it to. Sometimes 12, but my personal rule, I try to keep it 2 wins, 2 losses, or 11:30 max for the day. So unfortunately, like I said, Apex was having order issues this day, but that would have been 2 for 2 already on Monday, June 10th. So now moving on Tuesday, June 11th, I was 2 for 2 on this day. 1 win was actually taken on stream. I took 1 short in pre-market right after 8:30 Eastern time. So just to kind of go about this short, we do have this 12 minute CSS flip that we were pricing into. But on top of that, I didn't just take it off the flip. There was actually a fail to close up here on the 12 minute. So typically when there's a fail to close, especially when it's trying to do a 12 minute flip, these lows will typically get ran. So failed to close right there, waited a little bit, didn't see anything clean. And then we had a 1 minute fail to close above here, 1 minute CSS flip right here, limit order would tag you in. I only went 5 for 5 on this one considering it was pre-market, even though this would have hit 10 points. Now it hit 10 points exactly to the tick. So it's just a matter of you would have gone tagged out or not. But worst case, that would have been a break even if it didn't. Or, I mean, if I saw this third equal low being put in and it still didn't tag me out, I probably would have just gotten out anyways. But for that, it was a 5 for 5 on points. And then moving on to the second trade. So after open, we kind of just displaced down. Now, typically I like to wait 10 to 15 minutes after open just for everything to settle and the market to get its footing. On the 72 minute, there's this hidden SNDR which is typically a wick, a very ominous wick that tapped 50% of it, so that gets mitigated. And typically you can expect some form of strong retracement out of this, so that's what we saw on the 72-minute right there. Now bumping down to the 12-minute, you see we had that hidden SNDR on the 72, pushed up. Now when I see this kind of movement where you're having failed to closes but price keeps getting sucked up, this in my opinion is just very lethargic, and I wouldn't want to be caught on either side of this. I mean, typically when it's a lethargic grind up, it's going for a specific draw to one direction, which we're assuming was going to be these relative equal highs right here, right there, which it did eventually. And then on top of that, we did have a 12-minute CSS flip. So you got this big down close candle, low over here, closed above that down close candle. That's a 12-minute CSS flip. So typically we're going to be looking for longs now in that case, which directly after, right when that flip was confirmed, we did have this 1 minute fail to close. So this induced this internal low right here. 1 minute CSS flip would have tagged you in right here. Now you did take some heat on it, but after seeing this while we were in the trade on the stream, this low also gets induced. Typically that's going to have a stronger retracement going back up, pushing through these internal highs over here. So that was another winner on stream. So that was 2 for 2 on Tuesday on my end. And then after this, like I said, after 2 wins, I'll typically call it for the day. And then there wasn't really anything going up until 11:30 anyways. So overall, nice day on Tuesday. Glad everyone caught this on the stream as well. Now moving on to Wednesday, June 12th. Only one trade taken on stream and one trade personally for me. It was a break even, but just going to kind of go over this in detail. So it was FOMC Wednesday. Typically, I don't mind trading NFP depending on how price action is, but FOMC Wednesday, especially pre-FOMC, I am a little bit on the weary side of being aggressive, so I'll definitely take my foot off the gas. So we took this one trade on stream around 10 o'clock Eastern time. So on 12 minutes, we're having the strong push up. You know, you can see like every down move being sucked up. Now, typically, I don't like to take imbalance trades. But as you can see over here, there was this large 12-minute imbalance. And judging by the strength of this, it could have definitely mitigated it deeper. But sometimes it would just tap into this, especially when it's setting up like a second leg of distributions. And as you can see over here, I figured this would have pushed higher quicker than normal. So we did have this 1 minute CSS flip over here, which is going to indicate strength, and chances are this high is going to be taken. Now we did have typically we do wait for an inducement. So we did have this inducement right here, fail to close. Okay, 1 minute CSS over here. Limit ordered in after the CSS flip is confirmed. Now break even, we typically go like 80% of the way. So if you're going for 10 to 10 points, 80% of the way is going to be 8 points. So at 8 points, ATM is automatically set to break even, which unfortunately this did give us a break even, but the break even did save it from being a loss because this actually ended up being an inducement of this low as well, which was on top of that a tap into that large imbalance. Okay, figured this was going to be a second leg of distribution. We were just in the wrong spot. A couple people on the stream. Now I like to go for the fixed 10 to 10, assuming that this high is also going to be taken. Chances are there's going to be enough movement to push it to 10 points. But a couple people on the stream, actually quite a few on the stream, took their position off after this internal high got taken, which was smart. So glad to see some people doing that. For me personally, it was a break-even day, and honestly, like I said, being FOMC Wednesday, I just called it for the break-even over there for that day. There was another 1 minute CSS over here. It wasn't the cleanest. I did not partake in this, so I'm not even going to bother really going over it. But these are kind of the ones to look for, are these failed closes in 12-minute POIs aligned with 72-minute POIs with a 1 minute CSS. Now moving on to Thursday, June 13th. This is definitely a little bit of a rough start for me in the morning, and of course I'm gonna go over it. So we have 8:30 news. Like even with 8:30 news, I like to wait about like 10-15 minutes before I engage. Like I said earlier, just for me to see structure and for market to get its footing. But on the 12-minute, this really stuck out to me was this 12-minute wick right here, which like I mentioned would be a hidden SND. So waited for the 50% of that to be tapped. This was actually a beautiful, perfect trade right here. So you had that 12-minute hidden SND mitigated. You had a 1-minute inducement right over here. So went through this low, failed to close. On top of that, 1-minute CSS. So this was like a perfect long in my eyes. CSS confirmed after it closed above. Now I had my limit order and it came to the tick, as you can see right here. Came to the tick. However, I did not get tagged in for entry. Some people did, which great. I didn't get tagged in, and this went straight for those 10 points right there. So after that, we did have another pretty similar, and honestly, like I didn't take this just because I missed this one. Even if I took this one and it tagged me in, I probably still would have engaged in this one because this was just as clean. Actually, not as clean as this because we did have that 12-minute hidden SND that tapped right into and had the move right after. But in my opinion, I did expect, for example, like this 1-minute CSS already had a double tap. So for me, I at least expected for these highs to get ran, but we did tap this 1-minute wick right here, which I think caused that move going down. So we had this fail to close over here as well. That's not letting me get it. So we had that fail to close over here as well. See, induced this low. Had a 1-minute CSS confirmed. Limit over there, and this was actually the first loss of the week on my end, right over here. Okay, but like I said, I like to keep it 2 losses max. It was definitely annoying because, you know, this would have been a winner, this would have been a loss, so this would have just been a wash together. So already down like -1 trade for that day. And then just throughout the morning session, we did have this heavy range, and I know that there was SMT, which I don't typically use SMT with ES as much. However, I know that there was strong SMT because if I'm not mistaken, ES had already taken data highs. So you had both data highs and data lows intact, which typically are going to be a draw on liquidity. It's just trying to figure out which one's going to be hit first. Now, this was more of a discretionary trade on my end, but we did have this 72-minute wick. Let me show you that wick actually. Right here. So you see this large hidden SND, tap 50% of it. Okay, now I'm not just going to take a short, especially on this large wick, just because it tapped 50% of it. However, we did have stacked 1-minute CSS flips right here. So we had 1, 2, 3 right here. And typically when it's respecting these layered CSS flips, for me, in my opinion, I'm like, okay, we're at least going to have the data lows as a draw on liquidity. So this was a purely discretionary trade. This was not alerted on stream because in my eyes, it was a little bit riskier, but the way I saw it, I'm like, okay, this isn't bad at all. So I waited for this unmitigated 1-minute CSS to be tapped into, set my limit here, with the stop at that high, which was about 6.5 points. Now I could have gone for data low, which would have been 36 3/4. However, I always try to see what is a clear low-hanging fruit target for me. And then, so what I saw was this 12-minute hidden SND over here. So I'm like, okay, let me target 50% of that because that to me was the most obvious. Even though data lows was going to be pretty obvious, I was already down 1 trade. I'm like, let me take a 21-point short, so at least it would cover this loss over here. On top of that, put me up 1R for the day. And so after that, hit instantly within 2 minutes, not even. I called it for the day on Thursday. And let me move on to, this is actually the first loss on stream taken for the week. I didn't take this because I was personally done for the day. Would I have taken this? Probably. And so just to kind of explain it, we were not really in a 12-minute POI. This is just a purely based on structure play, but we did have this SNDR up here that it double tapped into. So yeah, the first tap over here, second tap, which is typically going to be a stronger move down. Didn't take out this low until later, but overall the double tap is going to be stronger. So had this 1 minute CSS flip, confirmed it. Limit order was placed. AP took this one actually, and this was just an instant loser. Nothing wrong with it, honestly. I would say 8, 9 out of 10 times this would work. But I think the main reason why this one actually didn't work, looking back at it, was we did have this unmitigated 1 minute CSS that it tapped into. So you're going to expect some sort of retracement back as soon as it taps into this CSS flip. And then right after, actually, there was pretty decent 1 minute CSS going down. This was not taken, but this was kind of what we were looking for this one right here. Just get 10 points right there. So same thing here, tapped into that SNDR again. 1 minute CSS coming down, would have tapped in over there, and this would have been like an instant 10 points within about 2-3 minutes. And then just to show you this in my opinion was really nice. I did not mind this at all. You have this 1 minute CSS here that was based on that second trade. And then you also had a fail to close. So we induced that high. Okay, induced that high over there. Fail to close. And on top of that, you get a 1 minute CSS right here. So confirm that 1 minute CSS flip. Confirmed when it closed below it, would have tapped you in over here, and then just an instant 10 points over there. Okay, so I mean overall with just this alone, this is already 2 out of 3. So you would have at least been 1R if you were taking it in this zone along with structure. You know, this was purely structure plays. 12-minute POI. So you did have this 12-minute imbalance over here, which it was respecting. I mean, you could argue that this was in a range. So nothing wrong with range trading, because these two, reason why they actually would work out is because that is the top of the range. So when you're shorting at the top of the range, chances are you're going to get that retracement back to the bottom of the range. This, I mean, this was identifying, this is before we even identified it was in a range. But for example, this would be 50% of the range, which typically would indicate some sort of chop. But these two were definitely clean as well. Okay, but overall, me personally was still up 1R for the day because of that 2R trade. But first loss on stream on this one over here. Now, moving on to Friday, June 14th. I was pretty content for the week, honestly, and I was okay with not even taking a trade on Friday unless I saw something really, really clean. So just to kind of go over it, Friday we had a really wide range right after open. So nothing was really taken. We did actually avoid a loser, I believe. So this short did present itself over here. However, identifying range conditions, like I said earlier, for Thursday's trade, is where are we here in regards to the location of the range is. Oop, that is a fit. So where are we here in terms of the location of the range? We are in the bottom of the range. So trying to short a bottom of the range is very, very tough. Because chances are, like I said, it's going to get above into that premium of the range, which typically that's where you would want to short out of, unless you're in a strong downtrend or uptrend, of course. So what we saw, so we did not partake in this short because to me it was really obvious that this would have been a loser. Can it have worked out? Of course, that's just probabilities, but we did not engage in this one. However, this was a really nice short taken on stream. We had a 72-minute hidden S&D, which was a 72-minute wick, tapped 50% of it. Now, what I liked about this one, even though there was no fail to close, we did have a 1 minute hidden S&D tapped 50% of it as well. So after seeing the reaction out of it, on top of that, someone actually pointed out on stream, we did have this unmitigated 1 minute CSS down here, which would have been a potential draw on liquidity. So 1 minute CSS going down, confirmed there. Limit order, we went in at 625, 19,625 over here with a limit order, and then 10 points, risking 10 points for 10 points TP, and that just hit within a minute. And after that, honestly, being a good week, that trade made it a better week. Even though, like I said, I like to go for 2 for the day. Me personally, I felt like it was just good to end it on a good note on that week. Even though on about like 10 minutes later, another pretty much exact example of what I had set up over here. There was a 1 minute CSS flip going short. That would have tagged you in as well, and that would have been another 10 points back to back. Now, I was kind of surprised on this one actually, and just to show you, I was close to actually taking this one more so, but you know, once I tell myself I'm done for the day, I am done for the day. We were still at the top of the range. We did have this fail to close over here, so we induced that high. We actually induced this high as well, and had a 1 minute CSS. This would have tagged in over here. However, this would have actually been a loser, which I was quite surprised. Out of these two over here, I expected this one to actually work out, but that's the probabilities of trading. Not all of them are going to work as good as they look, you know. And I think main reason that this one didn't work was this hidden S&D was also intact, because to me it is not mitigated unless 50% of that wick is hit. So since that was not mitigated, that became a draw on that liquidity. And then we actually had a second one occur right after. So after that hidden S&D gets mitigated, there's another fail to close with a 1 minute CSS going down over here. Now this would have actually been 10 points. Yeah, not a break even. This would have been a winner. So this was just as nice as this one, but I understand why this decided to come up here, because this hidden S&D was not mitigated yet. So pretty good week in my opinion. I mean, with the group, we took a total of 5 trades. 3 winners, 1 was a loser, 1 was a break even, depending if you took it at that internal high that I showed. And of course, you know, looking back at it, there was definitely more winners that could have been taken, but of course either a target was met for the day or conditions weren't the greatest, like for example FOMC, to push it as much. But any questions, just, you know, shoot me or AP a comment on the video, or you know, we do have our Discord link. The VIP is maxed out currently. You know, we'll discuss on a future date if we're going to open up more positions, but you know, really has been a good community, and I'll post that link down there for the free side of Discord. And like I said, any questions, feel free to ask away. But like, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you.